Welcome to Bring Your Brilliance. Are you ready to find and amplify your voice? Looking to be inspired by those who are already out there making it happen? Listen in as we shine a light on those who bring their full, authentic selves to do what they love, make no apologies, and don't try to fit into other people's boxes. With your host, Carla Taylor, who, after years of being inspired by the brilliantly shining people she was meeting, decided others need to hear these stories too.
Good morning and welcome to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show. I am your host, Carla Taylor, and I am here on the Inspired Choices Network. And today we have had a very last-minute change in our schedule, as I'm sure most of you out there are experiencing all over in your lives. And so because of that, we actually want to take this opportunity to talk about exactly what it is that's going on and make sure that we really focus on what we can do when everything around us seems to not be something we can control. So today's topic was supposed to actually be talking with Mark Metry, who is a host of a global top 100 podcast. He's got millions of followers. He is a huge influencer on LinkedIn as well. And I was so excited to talk to him about his new book, Screw Being Shy. And instead, he ended up having to cancel. And so because of that, I decided this was a fantastic opportunity to do something different and to actually focus on what's happening and talk about it and help all of you who are listening now or maybe listening later to think about things maybe a little bit differently than you have. So we've completely changed last minute the topic of the show, and I want to read to you a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today, and then I'm going to introduce the guests that we do have today, and we're going to go ahead and get into this conversation. And so today's topic is now keep calm in the chaos. And it is, this week has been anything but calm. Chaos is swirling around us, and people are panicking. And so how do you keep calm when nothing around you is steady? Today's guest was supposed to be Mark Metry, host of the Top 100 Global podcast, like I just mentioned. And when the events of this week and even the past 24 hours caused him to need to cancel last minute, I realized this is the perfect opportunity to bring together some of the people I count on to help me navigate the storms of life. So you've met them before as previous guests here on this show, and if not, please do go back. Anywhere you listen to the podcast, you could go back and listen to their previous episodes. But today I'm going to be talking with Sonal, Sheth, Zawahri, and Reuter, and we're going to be talking about how to replace fear with love and gratitude, even when that might feel like an impossibility, and how we can use this and everything that's going on right now and everything that happens in life as an opportunity to learn and grow. And so, Sonal and Sarah, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having us again.
Okay, and if you would just go ahead and say who you are so we can start to recognize your voice as people are listening, since there's two of you. Go ahead and say your name and then a little bit about what you do, since we didn't have time to write up a whole blurb about each of you, but I know we can go back and talk about your bios and stuff before, but I just want to give everybody a little bit of a feel for who you are if they haven't heard you before, and also to recognize your voice. Sonal, why don't you go first?
Oh, okay. I will go first. Hi, my name is Sonal Sheth Zawahri. I am a life coach and a speaker and trainer in the areas of emotional intelligence and communication and leadership. And my greatest passion is to teach people and guide people on how to step into the best version of themselves. And we hear that a lot lately, but I like to do it via the channel of my brand, Have You Stretched Today, really guiding people on the steps to stretching out of their comfort zone and stepping into and harnessing their power. What happens a lot of times is we know we need to stretch and we need to step out of our comfort zone, But we get left with questions like, but how do I do that? And what happens if? And what happens when? And that's the process that I love coaching people around, Carla. And so I'm very excited about that part, as well as other things coming up here in the future. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yes, thank you for coming back and helping us tackle this very important topic today. Sarah, why don't you go next?
Awesome. Hey, it's Sarah Reuter. I am president of Elevate Travel Company. Sonal, I loved your tagline about stretching. I teach yoga as well, and alongside Elevate Travel Company, and so stretching is so important for the physical body and the mind and the spirit, all of the above. And Elevate Travel Company, our main goal is to elevate brands, corporate brands, through immersive travel experiences. And there's a big exhale, because travel has definitely been stretching and shifting in these last few days. And I've been in this industry for over 20 years, and it's just time to shine. It really is. It's time to shine and lift and come together. And that is the embodiment and the name of Elevate Travel Company. That's what we do. We are all about uplifting and bringing this higher way of being, thinking, feeling, showing up in the world. And we will continue to do that amidst the travel restrictions right now. So there you have it.
Well, thank you both so much. And I'm actually just realizing right now as we're talking that I talk to both of you every day, and you guys haven't actually met each other. And so I actually love having you together in this virtual room that we're in right now. And that's actually one of the big opportunities that I think it's highlighting for me and everyone else, is to really, at a time when we're being called to not go out in public and to keep our social distance and all the things that people are feeling right now, it's still also an opportunity to connect. And I know Sonal and Sarah, you both live here in Indianapolis where I live, and yet we actually don't see each other that much, but we do stay extremely connected by phone and other ways that we might communicate. And so that even shows me that you don't have to be co-located or next to someone or in a room with someone to have a fantastic connection with someone. And then it's also an opportunity to start to pulling together, some, what people are calling micro groups, and groups of maybe 2 or 3 people, and really going deep and learning more about people and introducing your friends to each other and all of the different things. And you both are such powerful business owners and powerful women and powerfully positive forces in my life. And I've been so blessed to know both of you, and I'm so thrilled to have you as my tribe and as part of my support network. And that's the other piece that I think is going to be so important more than ever before, is for everyone to have a support network. And if you don't feel like you do, reach out, because everyone is feeling the pain right now, and everyone is needing more connection than ever. And so don't assume somebody doesn't want to hear from you. Reach out and talk to them, because they're probably feeling the same way. So this is an opportunity to create new connections, to rekindle old ones that you've maybe let go. I actually had somebody call me earlier this week that I haven't heard from in probably 3 years or more, and she was doing just that. So there's so many opportunities that I'm already seeing in the midst of all of this. And Sonal and Sarah, I know that's absolutely how you both operate as well, but I'm going to let you each chime in here and say a little bit about what's going on for you right now and what are you feeling and seeing, and then let's just keep talking about what's going on.
What's going on?
I would try to sing, but mine, no.
That's what's going on right now for me. This is Sarah. I am using song to lift my spirits right now, because in my world, in the travel world, I currently have groups on the other side of the world, and so I have that are 9.5 hours away via time zone. And so my days and nights are flipped upside down with staying in contact and in constant communication and ensuring people are informed, advised, and that my clients are making sound decisions and safe, and will, return safely and promptly to the U.S. as originally planned. So that's kind of my immediate, what's really going on in my day to day, and just really focus. That's the immediate focus, with groups I have that are currently traveling or will be traveling through April 30th. That date seems to be kind of I don't know if you gals are experiencing that, but that date of April 30th, at least in Indianapolis, and even I just got a message from Hilton, worldwide, Hilton Global email marketing. April 30th tends to be kind of this global date that I keep seeing where, hotels and airlines and businesses are maybe waiving change fees and being more lenient with cancellations, and to fall in line with the recent travel warnings that have been placed on an international level. So there's my professional the professional version of what's really going on right now. And the personal version of what's really going on right now is that I'm tired and exhausted because of all of this coming at me, and all the partners that I work with. And so what's important for me right now is to stay grounded in self-care, and by that it's the basics. Good sleep, which I'm not doing very well. I'm just being truthful and honest. Good sleep, healthy eating, positive affirmations, and, surrounding myself with the things and the people and the messages that are, positive. You mentioned us, Sonal and I both being very positive forces, and, that is what's lifting me in this what seems to be very overwhelming, chaotic, and dark time, and just an uncertain time, really. Uncertainty is something, that humans are not very good at. We like an agenda. I'm in the meeting planning, travel planning business, and I drill down an agenda, a deadline to the minute for my customers. And so, in a lot of ways, this is about thinking on a big, broader, wider, expansive, global way of being and thinking, and kind of letting go of the details right now, if that even makes sense. Does that make sense to anyone at all? Or are you connecting or feeling that sort of vibe, I guess?
I do,
Yeah.
Sarah. I think everything you're saying is brilliant, and right in alignment with some of the thoughts that I have. Carla, go ahead. I think you were going to say something. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just agreeing and just going to mention that when you're in a crisis, all the stuff that doesn't actually matter falls away, and you get really, really focused on what truly matters. And like you just said, Sarah, self-care is a big part of it, and then having a higher level global view of what really is going on with everyone and with what needs to happen. And yes, I absolutely agree. And Sonal, go ahead. I know you had some more to say about that, so I want to hear your thoughts as well.
No, I think everything that you were saying is right on there, Sarah. And thank you for sharing the vulnerabilities and the reality of the travel. I think one of the things that I'm finding, I'm here just like you ladies, learning every moment of the day, something new that comes up. And you know what, in an odd way, that's very uncomfortable, right? For me, I'm a planner by nature. And so when things keep coming up, it's like, wait, how do I check back in with myself and say, what do I do with this information? And how do I react? Because I think, and ladies, you can let me know what your thoughts on this are, I feel like we are all in a very reactive space. And when we end up in reactive space, here's some of the things that I like to do, some of the tips that I like to do to keep us all calm. As you said, Carla, calm in the chaos, right? Connection now is more important now more than ever. When we think about interconnectedness, support, and being strategic for each other, It's a really great time to kind of highlight and shine in the areas that we may not normally tap into. And I say that, what I mean by that is, think about all the personalities out there, including introverts and extroverts, right? Extroverts like myself will say, hey, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to see who I can reach out to because I don't want to stay in my space all by myself. But people who are normally used to kind of being more introverted are probably not thinking or having the tools to connect with others out there. That might not be intuitive for them. And so I really think at this space and time, it's a beautiful time to kind of, each one of us in this space of what feels like crisis, is to really connect with each other and tap into each other and reach out to each other and really kind of support each other, And so what you're saying,
Definitely.
Sarah, about having all these people, all parts of the world that you're getting to manage, as crazy, I can't even imagine how that feels for you. But what a blessing that you have, what a privilege that you have to seep into them the thoughts and the energy and the vibe of, we got this together, we're in it together. One of the things that really made me think of something, Sarah, when you said it was, when people are labeling this as a crisis, I'm not denying that. It is very crucial. But I also think about the words that we put on stuff, the labels that we give to things in life. And I usually do this exercise with some of my audience members, right, where I tell them to imagine joy and creativity and what that energy feels like in their body and close their eyes and what it feels like to be excited. And then we shift and say, now I want you to imagine what it feels like, which is where we are today, what it feels like to be in fear or in panic or in chaos. And when you open your eyes, the vibration of both can be on similar resonance, but we decide what label to give it. And to me, that is what we get to step into today as a community, as family, all together, where we support each other. And when people are panicking, we get to let them know that it's important to stay calm. And we give them tips and we ask them what they need. And I think that's really important right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, gosh, even just yesterday, the day before, a lot of people weren't panicking quite yet. Some people were, but a lot of people were like, oh, it's no big deal. If we're talking about the coronavirus, it's just like the flu and it's not going to be a big deal and the symptoms are mild and it's not going to affect most people. And I think it's being blown way out of proportion and people were really not as tuned into that. And I think in the 24 hours, I know for me, I heard a lot more about what was going on with Italy. There were a lot of people talking about flattening the curve and helping understand that if we stop now before it gets so big, we can maybe help relieve what might be happening to the healthcare workers and the lack of medical equipment that's causing the life and death decisions that has gotten it to be so dire. And we're trying to learn in the moment of how to respond differently, even if we only have a week or two more time than the other people before us did. And so I just realized that for me, and I think collectively, the shift became incredibly urgent almost overnight. And not that it wasn't already gearing up to it, but the frenzy that I felt yesterday was completely different than what I'd felt up until now. And maybe this is just here in the middle of America, because I know there's a lot of global listeners who are experiencing different things at different times. And so this is just, our experience here in this region. But, whether you've gone through this in the last several weeks, whether you are going through it now, whether you're not even there yet in your country, it is fascinating and also it can be very disheartening to see the people who are, our grocery store parking lot was jam-packed and people were starting to wait in line for hours and there was no toilet paper anywhere. There was no, I saw picture after picture of Trader Joe's shelves that were completely empty and the freezers were completely empty. And it's what we've not seen, this mass panic and then everybody's out for themselves, or so many people are. And when I went to the grocery store, I was going to grab a thing of ground beef, and most of it was gone, and there was one of the kind of roll things left. And I started to pick one up, and this guy, and there's hardly any left, there's only a few, but this guy was like, oh, that's the 73%. And I was like, ooh, I didn't know that. I didn't actually read that yet. And he's like, yeah, all the 80% is gone, except what I have right here. And he had this giant armful of 80% beef, and he points it out to me that I'm not getting what I actually want, and then he takes all of his and leaves. I was like, really? Did you really just do that? Not that it was funny, but it was kind of almost so absurd. It was hilarious to me that somebody, like, why then pointed out to me that you're kind of screwing me over, you know? But anyway, it's so interesting to see how quickly people get so self-focused and don't want to share anything because all of a sudden in this panic, people are suddenly out for themselves. And Sarah, I know I talked to you, actually both of you yesterday, and Sarah, you mentioned going to the store and literally just spending extra time there to spread positivity and joy because you could see the panic on people's faces.
Yeah, I'm definitely kinesthetic, and I forget what you call that in the you both probably know that term, but I feel. That's how I learn, is by feeling and reading body language and energy. And you know, I went to the store yesterday simply because I had recently traveled with a group out to San Francisco, and we returned on March 7th, and you know, life got really busy for me just after we returned, and I just needed to stock up on the basic necessities, you know, and so I was going just because I had been out of town and I just needed to get some basic things. Well, the timing was, of course, after, you know, in the last 24 hours where we had, you know, the president come on and make that statement of, you know, restricting the flights from Europe to the U.S. in the evening on, I think it was Wednesday evening. And then that next morning, you know, this is kind of when things got real, you know, things got real and serious really quickly. And, you know, so yeah, back to the grocery store, I could, you know, in looking in others' eyes, just, you know, people, there's this fear and this, you could tell people were racing and hurrying. And whenever I sense that, if I'm tuning in, I know, okay, it's time for me to slow down and pause. And I just started to speak to people and meet people, and I had a great time in the grocery store. It was wonderful. I made a lot of friends and laughed and, you know, just had conversations, and I really just took a moment to connect and ask people how they were doing. And you know, it's all across the board. It really is. It's all across the board, and people are in fear. And you know, I'm this big hugger. Like I'm probably a red flag right now for so many people who don't want to touch. There's a lot of fist bumping and elbow tapping going on, and you know, personally, I do feel as though we need to listen to, you know, our healthcare, our experts in the medical healthcare world, and those opinions are across the board too. You get a lot of different opinions and feedback, but ultimately, you know, I have stayed in connection with friends that I have in Singapore, also in Japan, and India, Italy. So I have been communicating with, you know, just peer-to-peer with people that I've either met, you know, through my travel experiences over, you know, the course of my lifetime, or are just dear friends. And, you know, they're all watching as well. But, you know, for example, in Japan, I think it was back in February, like February 29th, a friend of mine, they started this same movement that we're experiencing in the U.S. now with things canceling and closing, and it was it's a precautionary move, and you know, they've adjusted really well. Their schools closed, they had to homeschool, and you know, they've been doing that since February 29th, and I believe she's still doing that with her children. And, it's big adjustments. It's really big shifts because, she even said, I'm not a teacher, so it really makes me think about our kids, our youth, and what they will soon be experiencing alongside their mentors and leaders in life, which is typically, their caretakers or their parents. And I just think it's so vital as to how we show up for our youth right now, for all these young hearts that are watching and learning by, leading by example. And I just think this is such a movement of conscious choices and behaviors. And it's just very, very, it's a very powerful time to be in this world. Really is.
Yeah, oh my gosh, you made so many good points, and I just want to jump in real quick, and Sonal, I want to hear from you as well, but I had, and I know probably millions of Americans and people in other countries even, but last night in particular had a talk because my kid's school got canceled as well. And so, and it's also kind of funny because I just, like 2 weeks ago, withdrew my daughter to homeschool. And her comment last night was, well, gosh, I'm quite an influencer now. Everybody's following me. So that was kind of funny. But I sat my kids down last night, and we had a serious talk. And, I mean, they were trying to goof and be silly and stuff, too. But I was like, okay, I need us to be serious here for a minute. And we talked about what was happening in the world. And we talked about how people around us, and, my boys are actually at school today because they had one last day before they're going to be closed until April 10th, I think. And I especially to them who are going to go back into where I know a lot of those kids around them are going to be panicking. And the school is not allowing that day to be an excused absence. So a lot of people are going in even if they didn't really want to today. And so I talked to my kids, and I've taught my kids so much over the years, and I just reminded them that we are called to be leaders. And we know better than a lot of people. And we know what it means to have a fear-based or a love-based approach in life. And so I just reminded them to be kind of like you were in the grocery store. I actually told them that story, Sarah, and about bringing love and light to the world and being that beacon right now of even one light can light up a very dark room, or at least, it starts to illuminate it. And so I think that's part of what we, our youth, being that for your family, and then also encouraging your family to be that for the other people that they're in contact with. I think that's a huge part of where all of this starts, is it starts actually with ourselves. And that's another big thing that's going on for me right now, is to really, really, really spend this time. And I mean, how many times do we, we wish we had more time to just have some downtime. And especially for us extroverts who tend to schedule, and be out in the world. And now we're forced to have some downtime. We're forced to be a little more quiet and to have more time in our schedule. I've had every meeting in the last 2 days completely cancel. And I thought I was going to have this really busy end of the week, but all of a sudden I had all this time. And it's what I've actually been wanting. I didn't want it this way. Of course, I didn't think about it that way, but it is an opportunity. It is an opportunity for me to start with myself and know myself first and really lead myself and not let myself go into fear. But know self and lead self, and then know others and just connect, and then also be a leader to those others. And that's really the journey that I take people on when I'm doing my training of teams or organizations or individuals. Like, that's the journey. Know self, lead self, know others, lead others. But this is the time to do that, is to spend, I've been trying to do better with self-care and meditation, but I'm like, I'm not taking enough time. But I actually have time now, and the opportunity with my children at home to really, really so deeply into our relationships. And Sonal, I know, and Sarah too, like we all are moms with kids and families, and it's hard to balance all of that or to find ways to integrate things. And when we're so busy, we often feel guilty as moms to not be spending that time and focus on our kids. And here we are with a lot of time together to really, really work deeply on the relationships that matter most to us first. And I know I'm jumping all over the place with topics, so Sonal, I'm going to let you chime in here, but there's just so much for us to be able to talk about. Go ahead, Sonal.
Wow, a lot of really great stuff, ladies. I love it. And, I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what you just said, Carla, the gift of time. That seems to be one of the biggest complaints we have. I want to preface right now that earlier when I spoke about how we can work through this, we're all human, and I myself am in fear. I don't want to show up on this call and make it sound like I have all my stuff together and I have it figured out. And, I show up just as everyone else does. At the same time, I also get the privilege to take a step back and reevaluate. So I wanted to make sure I made that apparent. But I also wanted to say, it's amazing. I'm sure we've all heard of that quote, right? Fear has two meanings. Forget everything and run, which is what some people can show up as, or face everything and rise. Again, face everything and rise. The choice is ours, right, to make. And, I love that because right now, to me, that's the difference between being prepared versus being scared. And I say that because, like today, for example, this morning, I was so excited. Being a speaker and trainer is my greatest passion. And this morning I had the privilege and opportunity to be with Pass the Torch for Women here locally at the Colts Stadium or the Colts Complex. And when that got canceled yesterday, I'm not going to celebrate International Women's Day. I was ready and I was so excited. And, my joy was around creating an impact, but more importantly, learning from everyone in that space. And when that got canceled, that got a little scary. And then not even 20 minutes after that, I got a email saying that the chamber retreat, our popular retreat for women, which is about empowering women, just got canceled or postponed. And that was next week, which I was going to be at and a part of as well. That got a little scary. So, for all you small businesses out there who think, oh, my gosh, what's next? What does that look like? That hit home for me as well. And then I had to take a step back, and I came home, and I saw my 6-year-old, who is just playing and laughing and playing Tickle Monster and everything else. I'm like, sweetie, we have to do this, we have to do that. And all of a sudden I realized, you know what? Let us find joy and laughter and ways to smile during this time. And it's amazing because I've always said I don't really have time, Carla, like what you said. I want to be a great mom, and I want to be a great coach, and I want to be a great this and a great that because we're overachievers. That's who we are. We live in excellence. And I asked for that and was trying to scurry around to find it. Well, look, boom, right in our laps, time. Guess what, Nadia? Now I get to be home with you for 30 days. Wow. And, part of me was like, I'm going to be honest. I'm really going to be honest. 90% of me was like, oh, God, 30 days. And then I had to shift and say, wow, wait, how does that get to look? Because I get to be with her, yet how does that look? How do I show up and do what I need to do? How does my husband and I figure out, how to support the family? I mean, all the things that we are all going to face. So when we think about what fear feels like, face everything and rise, right? The difference between being prepared, be prepared, get the groceries, do what you need to do, talk to your kids, have a family meeting. That's not the same as being scared. A lot of people are like, oh, you're going to the grocery, everyone's doing this. Not everyone at the grocery store is scared. A lot of people are being prepared. And so it's really a great time to ask good questions and to be of support. Like you, Sarah, I learned through feeling as well. I love that you said that, and thank you for identifying that for me. But I also am a sponge. I absorb everyone else's energy around me, and so when I feel like it's off, I need to jump in and say, hey, let's do a little shift here. How could I support you?
Hey, speaking of jumping in, it looks like we have to take a break, ladies.
Oh, we do.
Well, all right. Well, I guess I must not have been seeing that. So let me go ahead and pause here for a moment then And again, this is Carla Taylor here on the Bring Your Brilliance radio show. We're talking with Sonal, Sheth, Zawahri, and Sarah Reuter. We're here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
We all have a personal brand. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. What if you knew how to clearly and confidently communicate your value in a compelling way? Tune in to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show with personal branding and LinkedIn strategist Carla Taylor to discover the tools, resources, and inspiration you need to get started and keep growing. Are you ready to make your mark? Learn how to bring your brilliance by listening to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
Do you struggle to answer what do you do? Because you do many different things? Do you want your future clients to know, like, and trust you? Do you want to make LinkedIn work for you? If you're ready for extreme clarity and confidence, with opportunities flooding your LinkedIn inbox, Carla Taylor's Bring Your Brilliance coaching, masterminds, and workshops give you the exact steps to get it done. Don't have time to do it yourself? Carla's LinkedIn content ghostwriting service is exactly what you need. Schedule your free consultation today at bringyourbrilliance.as.me or go to bringyourbrilliance.net.
This is the Bring Your Brilliance radio show with personal branding and LinkedIn strategist Carla Taylor. To join today's conversation, call in the U.S. at 815-880-8255 or Canada at 613-800-8736 or Skype at Inspired Choices Network. Or ask a question or send a comment by email at bringyourbrilliance@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show. We are here on Inspired Choices Network. My name is Carla Taylor. I'm talking today with Sonal, Sheth, Zawahri, and Sarah Reuter. We're talking about all of the things that are currently going on in the world and how to keep calm in the chaos that we've all seen or experienced or been even experiencing internally as we're looking at everything that's been going on around us. And so before we jump right back into what we were just talking about in Sonal, I believe you were still telling us a little bit about where you are with things. I want each of you to just briefly tell us what, how people can reach you if they want to reach out to you directly, and if there's something that you are going to be doing going forward in your business. I'd love to hear about ways that people can support you, because as we just talked about, not only is all of this coronavirus and fear and panic going on in the world, but there's then also the whole economy and just how it's going to affect everyone. And it's going to be really tough for the next few months, especially for small business owners, but really for everyone. And so I know I'm kind of jumping ahead of where I wanted to get to, but if you do have some ways that you're already thinking about moving forward and helping people, talk about that a little bit and then tell us how we can reach you.
Sure. This is Sonal. You can reach me at haveyoustretchedtoday.com. That is my website. It's also my full name, which I know is a little bit more challenging for some, but it's sonalshethzawahri.com, which is SONALSHETHZAWAHRI, and I only spell that because it's so long and unique. But those are the ways you can reach me. I'm on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a platform that I'm very active on, so please feel free to reach out to me there. And thank you for the opportunity. I think in this space and time, some of the things that I'm looking at and doing is I actually just created some really awesome cards called the value cards. And these value cards are something that up until this point were something that you would pass out to different people and compliment cards to people. So that is one thing that I would just like to encourage as some of this continues to go on, just to keep your eyes open for. But right now, Carla, my biggest shift is going to be turning some of this powerful stuff that we get to do to support others into digital platform. And I'm very excited to figure that out and learn how to craft and recreate. So another opportunity, again, to reinvent and recreate.
For sure. And Sarah, please share with us yours as well.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to throw out my cell out there. Are you ready? I know that's kind of crazy, but
yeah,
I feel like texting right now is going to be the best way to reach me. 317-654-0161. My inbox is flooded. My email inbox is flooded. My website is a great resource as well, elevatetravelco.com. And right now, I think one of the things I love it's time to innovate. It's time to get creative. And that's really one of our greatest gifts at Elevate Travel Company. We love to get creative and innovate. And change is something that we can really deal with and really thrive in that environment. Because when you're dealing with logistics in any form, planes, trains, hotels, automobiles, and you add the human component to that and all the emotional stuff that comes along, I'm telling you, we got this. And so this is where we really thrive. Now, the fact that meetings and face-to-face events are canceling is a real thing, and my business is going to have to, we're facing cancellations and losing a lot of money, just like a lot of the businesses are in this community. I am an ambassador for the Indy Chamber, the downtown chamber. And so, Sonal, you were mentioning the women business event canceling. I was so excited to attend that event as well. And because I'm an ambassador, I belong to a smaller group of about 50 other volunteers and ambassadors for the chamber. And just today, the chamber has done a great job of being very transparent and also communicating to their members ahead. They're ahead of the curve. They're being very proactive. They're taking all the recommendations from Governor Holcomb and communicating what they are going to do as a business. And I believe a lot of local businesses will follow that lead. And and I am as well as a member and looking to them as a guiding light in order to, come up with some new ways of operating and staying profitable in a time where a lot of businesses are going to lose a lot of money. And so one of the things today, we had an email come back and forth from Tony Neely with the chamber, and we've had to cancel. We meet the ambassadors meet once a month, and we have a lunch, and we also do a social gathering in the evening. And they went ahead and made the call to cancel those. I immediately asked and copied everyone in the group if we could continue to have human connection by a digital platform, and almost everybody has been on board so far with that. And so that is definitely one of the ways, Elevate Travel Company and other companies, I feel, are going to still be able to connect, engage, inform, inspire, and, keep doing what you're doing and, having that human connection. Maybe it's not physical, right? And for us kinesthetic people out there, Sonal, we're gonna need to do some, I don't know what, we'll have to figure that out, right? But, the other thing too, Elevate Travel Club is a private members-only group that I founded in January of this year. And there's about 150 members in this private Facebook group, and I really want to use that as a forum to continue to create a buzz about a trip that I'm planning and in the process of finalizing and creating for the fall of this year. And so I want to continue in that forum and, ask others to join me in this movement of keeping things very much positive and innovative and focused on transformative and immersive travel experiences. And we just have to shift gears a little bit and be prepared to, turn left when maybe we thought we were going right. And I know everybody is worried about money right now, our stock market, and there's so much, and we really need to hit the pause button. If everybody can just hit the pause button, and Carla, you were talking about this earlier, and just the things that aren't going to matter and that aren't important are going to fall away. This is a refinement process. I believe we are refining humanity at this point, and we are being forced to become more conscious of how we're showing up in the world, who we're connecting with, what our purpose is, and how we're treating one another and our planet and everything on it.
Absolutely.
And around it.
Well, yeah, and I love everything that you said, and that's the exact same thing. Like, this is such an opportunity, and for me and for Bring Your Brilliance and what I do, I have been promoting, the online versions of, making sure you're connecting online and offline. And I'm a LinkedIn lover, and I've made so many connections with people around the world that I feel really close and connected to that I've never even met. And so it really is possible to have deep connections virtually. And it's also possible, and now I think more than ever people are also recognizing why it's important to have a personal brand that supersedes anything that you're doing, because what you're doing may have to change. And with these two forces at play right now, with social isolation and having to stay at home or stay away from crowded people or not have events even, or all things that for most of us our livelihoods depend on. Because even if you aren't in an event or travel-based business, you're still used to being able to go out and network with people. Or for me, having workshops and all the different ways that we gather. And it's affecting every business. And we've got that going on at the same time as this economic recession, which probably was going to be here anyway, but now it's causing it as well, and then exacerbating it or accelerating it. And so we've got these two forces of people losing all kinds of income and facing another recession. And then there's also the social isolation piece. And so focusing on what you can do in your business, really looking at, first of all, getting really focused on the money-making activities that maybe you weren't as focused on because it wasn't, as dire. But then also recognizing, like I was talking about your personal brand, like if people know you, Sonal, if people know you as Sonal, and Sarah, if people know you as Sarah, whether you're doing travel or yoga or the different things that you're talking about, people know you. You're amazing. Both of you are amazing. Both of you are, two of my best friends for a reason, because you both are super positive, you're super amazing, you're super wonderful. And so when people know that about you and Sonal, you're like, oh, and I've got these cards. I'm like, yeah, I want to do whatever Sonal's doing. And if I can't be with her in person and I can't go see her at this talk, I still want to learn from Sonal. And so that's why your authentic personal brand out in the world is absolutely necessary to survive any turmoil or wave or chaos, because people know you as human to human. And that's just the theme of everything that we're talking about today, is connecting at a human to human level. It's what I've been saying for a very long time on this show and elsewhere in my life, but it really is about the human to human connections and what can we do to support each other. I had, someone reach out on a mastermind that I'm on, and her entire business is promoting events. But she also, has an online platform where she gets paid by sponsors for people who are on her page. So she's already gotten really innovative, and even within 24 hours figured out, well, I can't, and it's a kid-based thing too, and so it's recognizing all these people are going to be at home. She is now going to be offering like different places that are going to kind of do at-home play dates and help entertain all the kids that are stuck at home right now too. And so she's providing a needed service. She's looking at what the market needs. She's figuring out a way to get people still on her site and still get the clicks. And so she's being really innovative. And that's the thing, even in the last recession that we went through, I saw so many people who were just giving up or, oh, I can't sell anything, so why bother trying? And then I saw the other people, the ones that I was gravitating towards, or the ones that I was emulating and trying to be one of, is that they were looking for the opportunity, and they were finding. I actually started my business, my very first business in the midst of a recession, and where everyone else was maybe giving up or whatever. I was like, okay, here's an opportunity, here's an opportunity, here's an opportunity. People weren't hiring full-time training people. That's part of why I didn't keep going for those jobs, but people still needed some training. And so I became a consultant and a trainer with my own business, and that was actually the opportunity that birthed my whole path of being an entrepreneur. And so there's always ways to figure out what do people need and how can I help them. And I know for me, this whole remote work thing is something I've already been passionate about and talking a lot about, and I had a whole startup about it, and I am now going to be doing more and more to provide those resources to people and to companies. And how do you move forward and work together? So I know we're almost out of time. I want to give each of you a chance to say at least one more thing, and then we're already out of time, so we might have to do another show. But go ahead, Sonal. I would love to hear from you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Again, lots of great things. I love what you said, because I started my business in the midst of the last recession as well, Carla. And so the key here is looking for the opportunities and looking for the times that we can be creative. And one of the things that we talk about often in emotional intelligence is right now in this world, in the last 5 or 6 years especially, organizations and society as a whole value emotional intelligence over IQ, the EQ and IQ conversation, right? And this is what's amazing. This is when we really get to
I know
that.
You've got some great content about that, but we literally have 30 seconds left. So if you could just tell us one thing you want people to remember going forward, that's the place where we are right now.
All right. Be creative, innovative, ask others. This is the time to tap into mentors and to teach each other how to navigate in this new space. You don't need to be certain about everything. You just need to be honest, proactive, and accessible.
Great. Thank you. And Sarah, what would you say as the thing that people need to remember going forward?
I would love people to remember to stay grounded and listen to your intuition, listen to your gut. We have an inner knowing. We're being led by our government in some ways and leaders here on a local level and on a global level. And I think it's important for us to really tune in and listen. And we can learn also from other countries who have experienced this at a much faster pace than we have. So that's what I'd like to leave, just to listen and also to stay positive and connect. Let's stay connected. Let's keep humanity engaged, and let's continue to uplift others and help one another.
Carla, if
yes,
I may,
totally.
Can I also say communicate empathy and genuine concern first, right? Make calls to people who are particularly vulnerable. Reach out. See who needs you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that important point, Sonal. And yes, absolutely. Look for people who need help the most. Help everyone that you see, even if it's just with a smile. It's so important to look at the human factor first, to not go into panic, to be the steady, calm, loving light, to be in gratitude for everything that we do have and everything that we can do, and the little ways that we can help each other, and looking out and seeing the sunshine or whatever it is that you can do. And then also connect and find ways. And I'm going to be hosting some work hangs where people can just do a virtual co-working and find ways like that to connect with your tribe, or find your tribe if you don't have it right now, and be really deliberate about who you're connecting with and how you're connecting. It's really about that human empathy and emotional intelligence and connecting, and that's exactly what the world needs right now. And if you are starting to panic, get quiet and really focus on moving forward in love for yourself and others. So again, my name is Carla Taylor. We are here on the Bring Your Brilliance show on the Inspired Choices Network. I want to remind you to go out there and be bold, be brave, be brilliant, shine brightly, and be you, and put that you, that's fully you, out into the world so that people want to connect with you as well. So LinkedIn or wherever else you go,
Thanks for listening to another episode of Bring Your Brilliance with Carla Taylor. For the latest updates and info on personal branding, please follow and interact with Carla Taylor on LinkedIn. And be sure to visit www.itstimetoBringIt.com. Join Carla Taylor every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then,